Evening, 6 p.m., bang on the dot here in England. I know that a lot of people will be watching this on replay because we do have an audience in both the UK and Australia and New Zealand. So I appreciate it's early there. But if you are watching this live, I'd like to tap five in the comment section below. Um, if you're watching this, and that's basically you giving yourself a high five. If you're watching this late, like on replay, hit 8 because you're late. And if this is the first ever live you've ever seen, hit 2 because you're new, and we will reach out to you, see if there's a couple of videos that you might be interested in because they might help you on your way. Today, we're talking about HRT in a nutshell, effectively, what it is, what is in HRT, and why you may want to try it. It's not, full disclosure, it's not our first port of call. I don't think it should be our first port of call, but for a few of the ladies that we read that we see in the support group, it has changed their life. Right now, let's kick it off because we're gonna do HRT in a nutshell. We're gonna talk about a bit of HRT, but we're gonna talk about if it's going to be beneficial for you. Right now, for me, my scope of practice is nutrition training. I am just giving you information on hormone replacement therapy, right? I'm not saying this. You should always consult with a physician because you are an individual, and what might work for you might not work for Janine down the road, right? And that is why it's very important that you have your approaches spoken to by somebody who knows you best, your physician, if you are doing this. That being said, I'm here to kind of talk about it, give you a bit of insight so you can arm yourself with this stuff, so you can go to your GP and you can ask the important questions, right? Because I've heard, well, you would have heard a lot of things, all sorts of things about HRT. Some of this is going to be true. Some of it will be a myth, right? And some of it will be partly right and effectively give you a mixed message. Now, over the last 15 years or so, HRT has been subjected to a lot of studies, a lot of scientific investigations, and each time there is always something in the media that sensationalizes it, really, right? Generally, sensationalization of a particular thing is generally bad because the media just likes negative bias towards anything, right? Good news stories about anything, about heroics or about HRT rarely make headlines, right? But you would hope that your doctor or your healthcare professional that you speak to, hopefully you have an allied health approach, whether it's nutritionist and trainer, and you have a doctor, you have maybe a physio or whatever that you actually communicate with, that you would want them to be professional and understand the up-to-date data. But it's not always the case. In fact, a lot of those have been confused by it, right? And it can be hard for you, right? To, especially if you're not into reading science, if you want to go to your doctor who doesn't believe in giving you this particular HRT, then you have to go there armed with the knowledge, or because you have to try and interpret the studies, right? And then the developments happen on top of that, maybe months down the line. They happen so frequently that you just can't keep up, unless you have a special interest in this area of health, which is what I do. Right? You might not be up to date with the current research, right? A lot of health professionals aren't. A lot of nurses, a lot of doctors will not be, because it's not what they do day in, day out. That being said, there is the NICE, right? The National Institute for Health and Care Excellence in the UK, that does some awesome stuff, right? Your doctors, you should be saying, hey, look up for the data there. That's tells you a lot about HRT. You can find particular nice guidance in online as well. But I want to talk to you about basically just so you can listen to this on a podcast. You can listen to this. You can interact. Give you an understanding of what HRT is. We get a lot of questions in this support group, which I'm very, very grateful for. But a lot of the same things keep coming up. Right. So let's consider this. Why might you want to take HRT? All right. Now, very few women I know that I speak to want to actually try, and it is more a case of deciding that, hey, are your symptoms affecting your life so much to a degree that you are willing to try it. All right. If this is the case, then this, in my opinion, should not be your first port of call. Your first port of call, because we've seen it all the time over, is your lifestyle. Because a lot of the symptoms, whether it's sleep, whether it's flushes, whether it's sweats, whether it's brain fog, can all be eradicated through your lifestyle. All right. Maybe it's if you're struggling at work, you just can't concentrate. Maybe it's your mood management, irritable, moody. Like perhaps it just feels like this menopause is just going on for too long. You want to address it, right? Maybe you've had people notice, hey, like you're like a bit crabby, a bit snappy, and might be concerned for you. Maybe it's maybe you're feeling a bit low, you know, like of course you need to consult your doctor and say, hey, like this is what I'm experiencing, because they are all valid reasons to consider the benefits of HRT for you. Again, I'm going to say every single time, I would rather people address their lifestyle stuff as a first port of call. If that doesn't fix things, which I've in 99.9% of cases it does, then HRT could be for you, right? It's a very individual and very personalized journey that you should go through and research for yourself, right? Because it might be that you're going through menopause before the age of 45. We've had somebody in our program that went through menopause at 26, right? Very unusual. Okay, and that was because of a kind of full hysterectomy, so young. And yeah, maybe you want to know more about it. You want to know what it involves. This is what this is for, right? Even if you're menopausal, even if you're postmenopausal, hey, this is what this live is for, to give you more information to go armed with. Even if you don't go to your GP with it, you do have the knowledge here, right? HRT, effectively, people have said to me, I thought it was just like the pill, the contraceptive pill. Wasn't really sure what's involved, but I was recommended by the doctor, so I took it. All right, these are problems, because when we talk about HRT, we are referring as a general kind of umbrella. I know that sun is very distracting. I'll try and move it a bit further forward because it's the Cornwall sun, and the board's coming down. We're generally talking about the use of hormones, right? Hormone replacement therapy, estrogen, progesterone, and sometimes testosterone, right? And we obviously would consider putting those back in to treat the symptoms of menopause when it occurs naturally, right? Which is around 45, sometimes later, sometimes earlier, right? It will counteract the effects of reduction in bone density by replacing some of these hormones. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people do take it. But it is quite different from the pill. It is very different to oral contraceptive, and the type of hormone is completely different. The potency and the strength inside the pill compared to HRT is completely different. The effects are also very different, right? That means that you cannot compare the contraceptive pill to HRT in terms of side effects, in terms of who can use it. You cannot compare, right? You may have been advised that, hey, you don't use a contraceptive pill because of A, B, and C. But that does not necessarily mean that you cannot use HRT, right? Estrogens used in HRT are closer generally to those that are produced naturally. So it's pretty much bioidentical, especially during your natural cycle that you would have had. And it doesn't cause your level of hormones to rise significantly, so much that would be considered above normal. Let's say super physiological. All right. So the higher the dose of, let's say, synthetic estrogen inside the contraceptive pill needed to kind of suppress, all right, to dampen your natural ovarian function for it to be effective as a contraception, right? HRT is not contraception, and it does not contain synthetic estrogen. Now, the benefits of HRT, they are decent. But can you get this through lifestyle? 100% yes. Symptoms, right? Of course, you will see sometimes improvements in sleep, right? You see improvements in bone density. You will see improvements in flushing of the skin, the color, your hair, your nails. The main reason that a lot of people do want to do HRT is to treat those troublesome symptoms, right? Maybe you've tried alternative therapies, right? And if the symptoms persist and they're so bothersome, then you may feel, oh, okay, it's time. I'm going to do HRT now, right? And the problem is that it's deemed the most effective treatment available for those symptoms during menopause. But let's face it, the lifestyle hasn't been addressed here, right? Flushes and sweats are going to improve on HRT. Flushes and sweats are going to improve if you fix your lifestyle without putting any sort of endogenous hormone inside, right? You might sleep better. So, like your mood functions, your mood fluctuations, your concentration, your brain fog, your irritability is going to improve. It will improve with lifestyle too. Your low mood, your muscle pains, they may improve HRT. That's not 100% conclusive, but lifestyle, guaranteed, it will improve both of those. Things like a bit more of an intimate area, kind of vaginal dryness, that is going to improve because you're kind of popping the estrogen back in there, and estrogen helps create a lubricant down there. So hey, if it is enjoyable, then your desire for sex probably is going to increase, right? So that's going to help with the relationship. That is one thing that exercise is going to struggle with, right? The nether regions. That being said, there's more than HRT that can help with that, right? But your skin and hair are probably going to improve, may improve in appearance anyway, because you can't turn back the time. You can't turn back the clock. And that is not what HRT is for. I think a lot of people understand that, right? When menopause occurs around kind of 45, it's somewhere between 45 and 50 on average. It does coincide with a lot of physical changes that are occurring, right? Whether that's like because of like the aging, right? That part of it. HRT is not going to address the effects of the aging, right? It's not about staying youthful, which I think. It is about staying healthy. It is about staying functional, especially being able to kind of work at the capacity that you were able to before you were perimenopausal. Flushes, sweats, they can improve quickly, but they can improve drastically, probably even quicker with food, with nutrition and lifestyle interventions. All right. It's a lot slower on HRT than it is lifestyle interventions. And this is the problem I think I have with menopause in itself, right? A lot of people come into the support group and say, hey, what can I take for this? Instead of which is kind of like they're relinquishing ownership to a particular product, supplement, or something else, right? However, when you kind of flip the script and you say, what can I do for this? One is a loss of control, right? What can I take is a loss of control. What can I do is an empowerment. It's an empowerment mantra. What can I do to tackle this problem? All right, it's one of ownership. It's you mastering your menopause, and that's where the name comes from. It's you take control of what you can control, and all of the symptoms that I've mentioned can improve with lifestyle. All right. The thing is, like with things like HRT, for example, when we look at bones, right? The bone scan that you have, like sometimes a DEXA scan, is basically when you enter, especially post-menopause, there is a higher chance of developing osteopenia, osteoporosis later on, right? Bone loss is a natural consequence of aging, right? It is, and especially in menopause, it's going to happen. Now you can delay the rate, right? Whether or not you take HRT or not, through weight training, through resistant exercise, through jogging, things like that, through keeping active, through lifestyle stuff. So I want to kind of bring, hey, you can. It does help with strengthening the bones, but so does exercise. Right, that compounding, that constant, let's say if you're doing weight training, that constant pulling on the muscle anchors onto the bone, which will help strengthen the bone, which will signal to the body, hey, like this is something that we need to keep strong and secure because it's needed for this muscle to be able to do what it's able to do. Okay, now for bones, HRT is potent. It is potent, and it can stop the accelerated bone loss due to that kind of hormonal, let's say, hormonal dip. Now, it, well, I'm always hesitant to say you should take it solely for this purpose, because I think lifestyle should be always the first port of call. If you're entering into a harbor, look at your lifestyle first. What can you fix? Because HRT will not fix a crappy lifestyle. All right. The evidence shows that HRT will help prevent burnout, however old you are. But the problem is that people often take HRT to mask a poor lifestyle. This is where you might be ending up going on HRT for a while. Especially you get older, there's going to be a time when HRT might not be the best choice just for your bones, right? As you approach kind of 60 plus years and beyond, you might want to discuss whether it's appropriate to stay on HRT for that reason, or if there are other medical options that are more suitable to you, right? There's a lot more ways you can look after your bones than HRT. Another reason why you need to consider HRT is your heart health, right? A lot of women are at risk of heart disease, right? A lot of people have said to me, I thought this was a man's problem. I had no idea that HRT can protect my heart. Can do. A lot of controversy over this one because HRT has been shown to be good. It's shown to be harmful. There was a lot of early studies that showed it was very good. There's a lot study in the US that suggested, hey, it might be a bit harmful, right? I'm indifferent to say a solution on this because I don't think it's either good or bad. The data doesn't show me either, right? It shows me both, which makes me inconclusive. So what I would rather you do is cardiovascular for your heart health, cardiovascular respiratory training. If you want to benefit your heart, challenge your heart, obviously heart conditions aside, challenge your heart. And that's really simple. 2 to 3 times a week, just get your heart rate up to, let's say, a 10, on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is you, out of breath, can't get another word out. Get your heart rate to at least a 7. Challenge your heart. If you have no pre-existing heart conditions, challenge your heart. Because that is going to do far more than HRT, in my opinion, would ever do. It's going to be far more beneficial. All right, now let's talk about the reasons. I think I've covered these symptoms as to why people would take HRT, but what is it? Estrogen, right? After menopause, estrogen levels fall. You do not need a blood test to confirm this. I know a lot of people do keep posting it in. You do not need that, right? And it is the lack of HRT, right? The lack of estrogen that this HRT tries to replace or aims to replace. And the doses of HRT aim to give you back enough estrogen to kind of alleviate the symptoms that you're facing and in a way that sustains kind of an even keel for your estrogen, right? Rather than these irregular levels that occur, during perimenopause, it'll be a bit bonkers, right? And pretty kind of soon after. During that perimenopause, it's just going up and down. It's like, what the hell? It's like a roller coaster, we call it. The hormonal roller coaster during peri. So the estrogen used in HRT are described as natural or bioidentical, right? Rather than synthetic, which is in the contraceptive pill. And what that means is that they closely mimic the estrogen that our body produces. All right. So that was what our body produces kind of pre-menopause. So this makes them completely different to the pill. It makes one synthetic, one is bioidentical. 2 completely basic types of estrogen, but completely different, right? Now, with HRT to treat menopausal symptoms, there's 2 kind of types of estrogen, right? Estrogen, depending on where you're from, that's how you'd say it. There's estradiol. That's the type which is really closest to your own estrogen. And there is also conjugated estrogens. And these are kind of a mix of different estrogens. And they're described as natural, but not as close to your own we your own estrogen, and that is called endogenous estrogen, estrogen that's inside the body. All right. So estrogen therapy, it aims to make you feel better, of course. It aims to lessen your symptoms, of course. It aims to better still get rid of them, if possible. Your lifestyle can do this for you. But let's look at the right HRT for you. Generally, could make you feel normal again. All right, with maybe a few side effects. But I wouldn't want people to take it if it's just to mask their poor lifestyle. This is the biggest issue for me. People don't address the lifestyle thing and they wonder why they're on HRT for 10 years. Because everybody's HRT journey is going to be completely different, right? It's going to be prescribed in different doses. It might be given to you in various ways. It might be tablets, might be patches, might be gels. Your doctor is going to ask you about the severity of your symptoms. Might be best for you based on that, based on your age. I've disappeared. Yeah, disappeared then. Generally, younger women might need higher doses in order to feel kind of well because they have naturally higher levels than say, let's say, menopausal women. So this is something to be really go to your GP. And the biggest thing I can say is, like, you've gone to the GP, you've said, hey, look, I've done this, and this in my exercise, this and this in my sleep, with my nutrition. This is the resort for me. This is the best way for the doctor to say, you've exhausted every avenue. This is what we're going to do, rather than HRT be first protocol. I've had people say it to me, I'm really gutted that I tried HRT before coming to you, because I feel like this has been far more inside the NYM club. This has far outweighed anything that HRT has given me. And there is that, like, there is people that are trying to stop it and come off it altogether, because they believe that the symptoms can be fixed with lifestyle, and they are 100% right. All right. Before you go to your doctor and you're going with the hope of being prescribed HRT, they're going to ask you a lot of questions. Right? They're going to make sure it's suitable for you. They're going to make sure that they're going to rule out any medical reasons for not using it, not because they're covering their own ass, but because they really care about you, I believe. All right. There are people that should not use HRT. That can be a topic for a later one, right? Obviously, if, for example, you've had hysterectomy, then you will use estrogen only HRT. If you still have your womb, you will need combined HRT, and you'll be offered HRT that contains progesterone as well as estrogen. And these two hormones may be combined in a tablet or a patch, or they might be tailor-made using separate medicines, right? Because what progesterone does, it's going to help to explain this. It's quite confusing. You've got progesterone, hormone naturally produced by the body, and then you got progestogen, which is synthetically produced to have progesterone effects, progesterone-like effects in the body. And there's different types of those, and many are used in HRT. And then you have micronized progesterone, which is synthetically produced. It closely mimics progesterone, and it's similar to the body's own progesterone in terms of molecular structure. So, and sometimes this is used in HRT, and it might be described as natural progesterone because it closely mimics that kind of the own hormonal makeup in how it works inside our body, right? So whether I'm talking about progesterone, progestogen is used, it's basically, it could be micronized progesterone that is being referred to, right? So it depends on the HRT combination that you use, right? If you have not had hysterectomy, then you will, and you need HRT, then you're going to get sort of a type of HRT that is prescribed that contains estrogen and progesterone and progestogen potentially. It's basically for your benefit, right? It's needed to ensure the safety of estrogen to the womb. That's what progestogen does. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to give you a bit of information about what HRT is, what it could do for you, but also make you take a step back and say, the main reason I'm struggling is A, B, and C. And you need to be honest with yourself, because if you've got a poor lifestyle, if you're stressed, if you're eating poorly, if you're not exercising or walking, you're smoking, drinking too much alcohol, then progesterone, then HRT is not going to improve your life to a degree that you want it to. Your lifestyle is your first protocol. All right. This is the biggest takeaway I want from this, because there is benefits to this. So yeah, so I was talking about progesterone, right? So I think progesterone, yeah, it's similar to the body's hormone, progesterone. So what it does is it maintains the safety of the estrogen, right? Ensures the safety of estrogen to the womb. So estrogen in itself, we hear it a lot, both in its natural cycle before menopause and with HRT afterwards, causes the lining of the womb, and that's called the endometrium, and it causes it to thicken, right? And in a natural cycle, obviously before menopause, monthly period stops this from building up over time. That's why you have a bleed. Estrogen in HRT is gradually going to lead to thickening of the womb lining, unless progesterone, progestogen, is also given alongside of it, right? Whether that's in the same tablet, whether that's a patch, because that keeps the womb lining healthy, right? Kind of keeps it lean, let's say. And it is essential if you have a womb and you want HRT those. So if you still have your womb and you inadvertently use estrogen only HRT, also sometimes it's called unopposed estrogen, then there is a risk that that womb lining might start to develop unhealthy cells, potentially cancerous, that can be left let's say, if left untreated, can be quite bad, right? Can be quite harmful, right? So using that kind of combination of estrogen, progestogen, HRT, you prevent this kind of thing from happening. This is why it's important to go in well read to your doctor. All right. Some of the HRT uses micronized progesterone instead of progestogen, and this is still protecting the womb, but it's thought that it may have actually quite fewer side effects and prevents potentially kind of presents a less risk to the individual taking it. Now, this is the thing for me. All of what I've said has fewer side effects, but does have side effects. What is the one thing that I've been consistently saying that does not have side effects? Lifestyle. Now, what we're going to talk about is particular types of, in the next live, it will make this a series. HRT, we're going to talk about IUDs, intrauterine devices like the Marina coil. We're going to talk about well, we're going to have a little Q&A. We're going to talk about how HRT is given. Basically, what I'm trying to say is lifestyle does not have any side effects apart from you feeling fantastic. And if you want to do this journey, in fact, with or without, right, but you really want to fix the lifestyle stuff, then the MYM Club is the solution. That is where, like, this is our free support group. This is our private coaching group. This is the solution where probably 95% of our women have not done HRT and are still getting fantastic results as if they were pre-menopausal, right? They're not even peri, all right? That's how they're feeling. They're feeling as good as they had when they were in their 30s, you know? So if you want to lose weight, keep it off forever, reduce your menopausal symptoms, then type MYM in the comment thread below, and we will reach out to you, myself or Viola. As you can see, we're part of Last Year Menopause, but I wanted to give you, let's say, a no BS approach to HRT. The most important thing for me is that you make the decision what is right for you. Whether that's you doing HRT and fixing your lifestyle, that's entirely your prerogative. It's your body, your decision. I'm happy to support you along the way. If you want to choose lifestyle first, fantastic. Let's connect. Comment MYM in the comment thread below, and we will be in touch. I just want to say I really appreciate everybody who's watching live and who's watching on replay. Remember, if you've watched live, hit 5. If you're watching on replay, hit 8. And if it's the first ever one, hit 2, and we'll reach out to you and send you some, tag you in some videos that you might like. I want to thank everyone for taking their Tuesday evening to listen to me chat for half an hour. I think 6:30 here now. It's definitely time for food. I want to bid you all a farewell. And if you've got questions, please pop them in the comment box below. I am more than happy to come back to this comment section and answer your questions. But also, we will be we'll do an extended version on this because I think 30 minutes went a bit too long. Awesome. So lifestyle is king or queen. Let's say lifestyle is queen. Speak to you soon, and I hope you have a fantastic evening and a fantastic rest of the week. Speak to you soon.